Encouraging exercise in a dementia unit is very important, because to live in a dementia unit, you need to be independent with activities of daily living and transfers of lying and standing up from your chair and sitting to standing up from the chair and up from the toilet. Unless you're independent with these activities of daily living, you're not able to stay in a first entry dementia facility. So for that, to be able to do these activities, you need to be strong enough, especially with leg strength, to have the ability to do that. And as leg strength deteriorates as we get older anyway, you've got to be able to do exercises to maintain that leg strength, to have the strength to be able to stand up from the chair, that the quadriceps are strong enough to be able to do that. So exercise classes are a very important component in dementia facilities to be able to maintain that strength. In a dementia unit, most people in dementia units go to the exercise classes. It's not that they all like going, but they're certainly encouraged to go from the staff. So in a dementia unit, you might get maybe a third of people who are keen on exercise and have exercised all their lives. Typically in New Zealand, netball and tennis when they're younger, golf when they're older, and if they've had a physical job like working on a farm, as many women have in New Zealand, South Island, where I'm from here in Canterbury, they'll have that strength from working on the farm all their lives. But for women that haven't been interested in exercise and haven't, partaken in sport, their base strength won't be as strong. And so they really do need to be encouraged to go to the exercise classes, because their leg muscles really need to at least maintain their strength of what they've already got to be able to maintain these activities. Because it's actually not that easy. You need quite a lot of leg strength to get out of a chair, much more than what you realise, especially when you're younger. You wouldn't think that, but especially if you've got long femurs, long legs, the leverage that you need and the quadriceps strength that you need to lever yourself out of the chair is a lot more strength is needed for tall people with long model-like femurs to get out of a chair than a little person with short femurs, where the fulcrum's different and the lever's different. They can nip out of a chair a lot more easily. Actually, tall people do have more difficulty in a dementia unit, interestingly, because a 5-foot woman and her manoeuvrability is very different to a 6-foot man and his manoeuvrability, or a 5'10" woman and her manoeuvrability. For example, in a room, if you're a 6-foot man manoeuvring around a tiny little bedroom, it's a very different experience to being a 5-foot lady. It will feel far more spacious for a 5-foot person. And just one example is the chair. If the chair for a 6-foot man is a lot bigger than the chair that will be required for a little 5-foot lady, you could put nearly 2 chairs in a room of a 5-foot lady and they'd fit in, whereas you'd only be able to put one big chair of a 6-foot man in. So all these aspects make a big difference in terms of the experience of a person in a dementia facility and the things that need to be taken into consideration. For example, dining room, again, the legs and the femurs in height. If you're a short little lady, you'll be able to, squash in somewhere at the dining table, the seat. You'll be able to manoeuvre yourself in with the table of 3 other people. But if you've got long legs, you're not going to be able to push your way into the table as easily. You're going to be out further from the table because your legs need that space, just like on an aeroplane. And you've got tea trolleys and other residents coming up and down with walkers and lots of other people coming around you to get to the dining table. It's always very crowded in the dining area. And so if you are stuck out from the table, it's actually quite awkward often you can get banged by walkers at the back because you're sticking out from the table. Yeah, you wouldn't think of it as a disadvantage, would you? Height. I mean, height's glamorized with models and everyone wants to be tall, but then once you get to a dementia unit, being short can be an advantage. So you just need to consider these things. If your parent is tall, it's better if they can get a dining table rather than stuck right in the center where all the main area is for dining. There's always going to be one or two tables on the outskirts where dementia residents sit as well. So see if you can get a table for them on the outskirts so that then they've got, they can push their chair out easily, they've got more space, and they're not so crowded with all the milling around in the centre of the dining area. So with exercises, do encourage your parent to go to the exercise classes. If they're a bit hesitant, maybe go along with them for a few classes to give them a bit of, enthusiasm. And to keep those quadriceps, upper thigh muscles strong, another good exercise to do with your parent is steps and stairs. They are fantastic for quadriceps strength, really. So if the dementia unit's on the second floor, then ideally you can just go up and down the stairs. Maybe just once or twice is enough, each visit maybe. And the person can hold on to the railing with their hand, and then you can hold on the other hand. And then they can just go up and down those steps and stairs and get that strength going in their upper thigh. And also walks outside on uneven terrain is good for balance and also good for leg strength. So all these things you can just fit into the visits, and it's not just a walk outside, fresh air and sunshine, but it's also for balance. Leg strength and heart-lung fitness is important to keep up for the person to be able to stay at a dementia facility. So encouraging exercise, but being the big theme. You need to encourage dementia residents with everything, generally, especially if they're depressed or down or anxious or uptight. People can become immobilized with their emotions if they're, anxious or depressed. And so to get them out of that, exercise always helps. But so psychologically it helps, but also physically it helps. There's so many benefits. Endorphins, chemically it helps. Mood, it helps. Socialization. There's so many wonderful aspects to exercise. But with the pivotal point of encouraging exercise, it's encouraging. You do need to encourage. And even if your mother isn't that keen to exercise, just say, look, Mum, I'm here, I'm happy to take you out for a walk. It's important. You need to keep your strength going in your legs so that you can keep walking and keep being able to stand up from your chair and get up from your bed in the morning and all these things, because we don't want those activities or abilities to deteriorate. And that's why we need to do these exercises so that you can remain strong enough to be able to be independent. Most people realize the importance of being independent and want to be independent, but just encourage them with all the exercises so that it doesn't deteriorate, and explain to them so that they know the reasons why, to hopefully motivate them. So I've written these two books, The Resident's Voice and The Resident's Rise, important books. All the material is here on how to help people with dementia in dementia units. When people come into dementia units, The Resident's Voice, everything you need to know about that, the routine, the staff, the room set up, and once they're in the dementia unit, The Resident's Rise, how to cope with various emotions and activities and things like that. There's so much to learn, isn't there, with dementia? It's such a vast subject. But once we have the information and insights and techniques to know how to help, and we're confident and become confident, the more we apply and practice these positive practical techniques, it all becomes part of one big routine. But it's the starting point, and just getting all this information imbibed, that does take some time. But it's an interesting work, and I'm sure you'll find it interesting once you apply it. Thank you for your looks and your likes and comments. I really appreciate.